Alright guys, HyDra again. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Big drama going down in the CDL last night. This new patch update the pros were planning to play on for the upcoming weekends has seemingly been reverted by the Call of Duty League. This is because it's so broken and the game is in such a shambolic state that they're not even able to play on the new patch update because it's going to be purely unwatchable from a viewer perspective. This has massively annoyed many of the players who have played on the old patch for some time now, probably too long. Now they've gone to the new patch, it doesn't work, they practiced on that for a couple of days, and now they're going back to the old one yet again. What is happening right now? Big drama as well, especially between the pros on whether control should stay as the third mode or whether something else needs to give. Skyz giving some thoughts as well on his gameplay on the most recent season, which are somewhat controversial depending on your opinion. Very much interested to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. New FC Stallions roster just dropped. Fridge giveaway at 100k followers, but you know, they're only at 18k, so the fridge giveaway is still in the pipeline, I imagine. But let's just get straight into this drama, right? Because the last couple of days, the new patch update, which arrived a long time ago now, but the players were not playing on during Major 3, and the league decided that, well, changing it between Major 3 and the first weekend of the qualifiers is a bit much because, you know, the event finishes Sunday, the players travel home Monday, they get home Tuesday. By the time they really get to practice and get into things again, they've got like 1 or 2 days of proper good scrims before they get back into the matches of the weekends. So the league decided, you know what, we're actually not going to employ the new patch for the first week of qualifiers last weekends, but we are going to have it for this weekend's. And as a result, the JACL has been nerfed in the new patch update that they're now playing on. So they've messed around with it, right? In order to balance things, they got rid of the muzzle on the AR and they put the reinforced barrel back on the JACL. That was the intention, to balance it. Bant says ARs are fuming now. They're God-gunning gunning without the muzzle, he says. But there was lots of debate on what they would actually do with the gentleman's agreements, what they would change, what they would not change. And it seems like some of this got reverted, and now basically all of it is going to get reverted because they're playing on the old patch again. So Envoy says, we got a couple of days practicing on the new patch, now we're going back to the old patch, which was said to be impossible for years. So apparently the players have been told before, they're like, there's no way we can go back to another patch update. Once we change, it's going to be what it is. We're going to have to stay on the new one. But no, the Codcaster, as BenJ talked about yesterday, is bugged for the stream. Like, the Codcaster is a disaster right now. I don't know what they screwed up with it, but you can't see hill time, you can't see anything. It's like impossible to watch. So from a viewer perspective, the CDL has decided that no, we have to go back, even though it seems like they previously told players we can never do this, but they can do it apparently if they really need to. And as Envoy says, we are not a serious esports, which I think is, I mean, let's be real, absolutely true. As sad as it is to say, like, the combination between the CDL and the developers. I mean, like, for this whole year, the Codcaster scoreboard has been broken and bugged. Has it been fixed? No. They tried and they failed, but if they really wanted to, like, if they put the development resources in as they should do, it would be fine. But instead, we've got all sorts of new characters arriving in Warzone and running around, and I'm sure with spectacular graphics and, you know, skins and all this type of stuff, that obviously that deserves the development resources, apparently anyway. So, look, Envoy is not wrong, but there was lots of drama about this. We'll get to CleanX's reply in a second. JoeDeceives says, now we can't even scrim on CDL accounts because they screwed up the hosting, so that's absolute cinema. You know, Insight saying, like, what's going on? Bant says it's been possible the whole time to go back patch updates, but they've told him otherwise before. And yeah, anyway, loads of pros in the replies, not very happy about it. And CleanX said, we finally got reinforced back on the JACL, and the AR's got the patch reverted. It's crazy, right? So, you know, who believes? I don't know. I don't think that's actually true. But obviously people are saying, oh, well, the AR's complained because their gun got worse, and therefore they were crying about it. Gonna miss that reinforced for a solid 5 days. So, I mean, who knows? Next weekend, they might fix it and we're back on the new patch again. Like, it's an absolute mess. What are they going to do for the rest of the season? So, and as Bant says, CDL hates GAs, as it's hard to explain to casuals why there's different rule sets, but they will happily play on a 3-month-old patch that's completely different to the latest build. It's so far gone. So, look, I mean, there's some things that CDL have done over the last few years that are kind of frustrating. The main one to me was about the advantage in grand finals. I still think it's pretty ridiculous that a team has no advantage going into the grand finals coming from the winners bracket. But the explanation that we were given was like, oh, well, it's too complicated for fans to understand a double best of 5, double best of 7, whatever. It's really not, but, you know, I'm not actually not sure I'm a massive fan of the double best of 5, kind of my hot take, but still, it was the explanation that we seemingly got was pretty frustrating. And then the pros have apparently been getting told for years that they could never play on an old patch update, but now they can. And even though it's like very different to what players are currently playing in ranked, the pros are playing on a very old version of the game now. But there really isn't any other solution because the codcaster's so broken. So, you know, it's a complete mess, pretty much from top to bottom. Simp's here just laughing at it, right, thinking it's a bit of a joke. And I'm not going to lie, if this drama is going to happen, right, with patches and breaking things and codcaster being broken or whatever, you'd expect it to happen in December or in January, right, or whatever, right, when the game's just about launched. We are now, you know, a week into May. The World Championship is in like 6 weeks. The final event of the season from a major perspective is in like 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks. So it's just not acceptable, really, that we're dealing with these issues now. That's my opinion. Intrigued to your thoughts. Slasher says, I think it's time to cut control completely. They've not been able to make it work, and it just gets worse and worse. So, you know, clearly new patch, whatever. Slasher isn't very happy about it. Ghosty says, what are we playing, Commissioner? I should actually be the commish again. These map changes this year from someone throwing darts at a board and control is chalked. V to advantage, picks, extra hardpoint or search is best. That's the best I've got at the moment. Haven't really thought about it much. So the idea being that whoever has the higher Cs, they get to choose whether they play an extra hardpoint or a surge. Got our commission right, stripped away. No one is getting a vote this year because, you know, the CDL, look, as much as a fan, I don't really care. The fact that the league have stepped in and they've just decided, okay, dealership search, it's in. Rewind hardpoint, it's back in. Like, I don't mind that. I think it's actually great. If I was a player, I'd hate it, for sure. Absolutely, no doubt. But as a fan, I don't mind it. As long as the people that have made those calls know what they're doing, to some degree, and like how they come up with those decisions, because Slasher says they're just throwing darts at a board and control is chalked. What do we do instead of control? I think this is the point. People are obviously going to say Slasher World League, bring it back and all this. Control is not a fan favorite mode. It's not a mode that the players massively like. It's not a mode that I massively like. I loved it in Black Ops 4. Since then, it's not been quite as good. Cold War was okay as well. This game's not too bad, but over the last few years, it's not been the best mode. But it is at least something different, and I don't know, what do you think? Would you prefer to go to a different third mode, or it's not going to change now? Fundamentally, let's make it very clear. We ain't changing this before Major 4, Champs or EWC, right? This is a conversation for next year. But Control has been the staple mode now for several years in a row, apart from MW19, where we went back for some reason to Domination. And yeah, Domination is not a serious mode. Envoy says CTF is not a serious mode. But yeah, Looney says Control has always been awful, but wow, this spawn update is crazy. So I think that's the key point, that the new spawns with the new patch have, in the opinion of many pros, and of course Looney's a coach of the Rocker team, ruins the game mode. So maybe that's even one of the reasons why they're going back to the old patch update, but it's going to be pretty crazy, right, if they do fix the codcaster and we can then play on the new patch again. But let's say they fix it in like 2 weeks. What are we doing? Are we playing new patch for Major 4, having had no practice on it in the qualifiers? I don't know, right? Like, these are questions that we shouldn't really be asking, but they're perfectly valid questions right now. Envoy says, bring back Uplink, right? And I think that most fans and players would agree that Uplink was pretty unanimously considered by many to be the best third mode when that was a thing, of course, in the jetpack era. Next year, the rumor is there's going to be, like, not wall running precisely, but more like parkour off a wall. Like, you can jump on a wall and then jump off it. That was the rumor anyway. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that maybe opens the door for Uplink to be back as another mode. I think that'd be real exciting, but I guess we'll see if that happens. I don't hate Capture the Flag personally. I wouldn't mind bringing it back, but I'm one of the people that actually doesn't mind Control. It might not be great, certainly with the new patch update. It's probably pretty bad. Definitely a lot of the players are on that wavelength right now. But I think Control is a decent middle ground between the two modes, Hardpoint and Search. Hardpoint and Search are the best two modes, but would I want a third mode to be Hardpoint or Search? If I had to choose, it'd be Hardpoint every day of the week. I don't think we want 3 searches in a series. I like Search, I think it's great, but playing a map 2 Search and then a map 3 Search, I think a lot of fans are going to just tune out and come back for Game 4, Game 5. So maybe they do that already with Control. They certainly did it with Domination back in the day. I was guilty of that. But if we're going to only have 2 modes, it should be Hardpoint to me. It should be Hardpoint Search, Hardpoint, Hardpoint Search. We've done that briefly before when Control was broken at the start of Vanguard, or didn't even exist at the start of Vanguard. And that's okay. But I do want a third mode. I think it's better that we have a third mode. I don't think Control is the worst third mode we've ever had. So, like, that's just my opinion, but the pros, maybe you guys disagree, and tweet your thoughts as always in the comments below. Just one final thing, wanted to mention what Skyz was talking about, because Skyz was giving his perspective on the new OpTic roster, dropping him, of course, benching him for Mercules, and what that's going to mean, because, as he says, they're going to be super fast, because, look, Skyz is not the fastest player ever. There's no one really, denying that, but is it going to help them, right? Is playing at a faster pace going to be better? I think certainly at the end of this life cycle, I think it's likely that it will help them to some degree. Shotzzy was, of course, giving Merc gas after the first couple of scrims that they played with the team, but also Skyz mentions how he thinks he was pretty damn good at this game, and look, the numbers may not necessarily paint that out in reality. I'll always respect a player who backs their own ability, but Skyz was talking about it, wasn't he, earlier in the year when he was not struggling exactly. I mean, maybe you could argue that some of the year has been a struggle from start to finish, really, but when Skyz was saying, look, I want to play quicker, I want to maybe even run an SMG at times, or like up my pace effectively to help the OpTic team, did that ever really happen? There were some glimpses, maybe. The series against Surge the other day was great, and then he got dropped, right? So, yeah, intrigued to your thoughts on these comments here from Skyz.
I feel like even with me, I thought we could win.
How much is that per year, like 250 or some shit?
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna fuck. I'm always gonna think that.
It's gotta be like
and I feel like that Merc is actually pretty good. They will be super fast. They need to find moments where they need to slow down. They need to play a HyDra, if that makes sense. It's so weird, bro. I feel like I was like godlike at this game, but like I just didn't play good this year. That shit's so annoying. It's all good. I guess it's considered like this is probably the worst game I've had, to be honest, bro. Holy fuck. God damn, it's actually still tilting too.
But that's where we're going to leave it for today. Very much enjoyed your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.
Did you get to meet the kid? Yeah. We did the podcast together. We shot some other videos. He's pretty quiet. He gives me a very Dylan Envoy vibe. Very Dylan Envoy. He's very chill, very relaxed. He's from Indiana, so Dylan's from, I think, Illinois. But he's just a really chill guy. He's a chill guy. He's like, he doesn't really raise his voice much. He's kind of monotone. He's just chilling. And he said that he fit into Toronto like perfectly because of that reason. Because they're not really too hyped up. And he said he fit in perfectly. So I'm trying to see how he fits in with our team.